That's going to start here in a moment. All right. Okay. All right. Well, folks, I'm going to get started. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and taking some time out of your very busy semester to talk a little bit about the waitlist. And we're going to go over a few different things today. First off, my name is Melinda Hain McMahon. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director for Housing Operations. You probably have seen my name a million times on all of those emails that have gone out over the last few weeks regarding room selection. And my name goes on a lot of other things too. But so no, I am a real person right here answering all of your questions and helping out to the best of my ability. During this session tonight, we are going to talk about the wait list, right? We're going to talk about what the wait list for students without housing assignments looks like, what the wait list looks like for students who do have room assignments but are seeking room changes. And then I'm gonna do a quick demo on where to find the wait list on the portal. And then we are going to talk about receiving an offer and then cancellation requests as well. There will be plenty of time for you to ask questions at the end. If at any time you have a question that you want to ask out loud, feel free to raise your hand using the chat function or through the React function. We can stop and answer those questions. I'm going to have the chat open. I might not see your message right away, but I'm going to try my best to get questions answered as they're coming through. And then from there, there will be question time at the end as well. And then additionally, I'll share my contact information. So if you have a question that feels a little more personal or a little more nuanced, please, by all means, feel free to send me an email so that I can help answer your questions at that in that way too. Okay. All right. So I'm realizing too, as I'm doing this, that I think I forgot to set myself up for success with doing a live demo. If any of you joined for the live demo from when I was doing room selection, you know I was having a tough time, but the show must go on. All right. So, let's start off by talking about what the two branches of the wait list are. So it's one list, it's one place to submit all of your information and your requests, but it does have two functions on for all of our students. The first is for students who didn't receive a housing assignment. You got a time slot, you were hoping to select a room, and unfortunately, we have such high capacity or low capacity, I should say, for rising juniors and seniors, and such high popularity and demand for on-campus housing that unfortunately we weren't able to house every junior and senior and graduate student that was interested in having housing for the 25-26 academic year. So students can currently submit requests through the waitlist who didn't receive a housing assignment. Essentially, this waitlist, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like here in just a little bit. This is you marking, I did not receive a housing assignment, and these are my top three housing choices for where I could live, what kind of housing I could get. These are the things that I want, and that is going to help me as I'm going through the list to be able to offer spaces to students. And we always recommend that students are submitting a wide variety of types of housing that they're interested in because it does open the playing field a little bit for what I can offer to a student based on just what we have. If you're only looking for that single or that private space and you do not currently have housing, it's going to be a lot tougher to be able to find a space for students who do not receive a housing assignment and that I'm trying to offer them one. Offers will be made as spaces become available throughout the summer. So while I do anticipate that a large number of, not a large number, but that we will see a lot of movement right after the end of the fall semester. Sorry, we're in the spring. Right after the spring semester, there will still always be the possibility that spaces will become available even after July. And so while our goal is to be able to get everybody moved and get into a room assignment before July 1st, because that's when when bills get applied to student accounts for the fall, it could happen throughout the entire summer that a space gets offered to a student. We do anticipate beginning to offer available spaces to students starting the week of May 19th. And so that is coming up very quickly in the next 3 weeks. We're hoping to start being able to tell students we have a space available for you. We have already received cancellations from students. We have received information about students who have decided to take a leave of absence. And so we are already seeing a few spaces become available. So the week of 19th is when we anticipate we're going to start offering spaces to students who don't already have a room assignment on campus. Yes, Andrew.
Sorry, you said a few. Is there like an exact, like an approximate number as to how many?
I don't have that number yet because it's so few. Like we're starting to see the number of rooms open up. But right now, like I'm at like maybe two. And that is why we're waiting until May 19th or the week of May 19th to start offering spaces to students because we're hoping to have a wider variety of spaces become available. I just can't guarantee like anything is going to open in that time, but I do tend to see some movement here in the next few weeks, based on my experience from the last 2 years.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure, of course.
I
No
was
question is like a silly question. Just I want to like put that out for folks. No
Sure.
need to apologize. This is what I am here for. I am so happy to help answer your questions along the way. So please, by all means, raise your hand, ask the questions.
Sorry.
So happy to help.
Sorry, I can't find the hand raising function.
That's okay.
Do you know any particular reasons why some of these students give us vacant rooms, like they leave?
That's a really good question. For some students, we have found that historically, students will request on-campus housing as a backup. And so there are students who have in their cancellation requests, because we do ask students, why are you canceling? We want to be able to track that a little bit, to have some really good data so that when folks across the rest of the institution say, why did these people cancel? We can give them answers. And so we're seeing that for some students, they're just taking leave of absence. They picked a room and then decided they're going to take a leave for the fall semester. So those spaces are becoming available. We do have a few students who are just like, this was my backup. I found something off campus. I feel comfortable, so I'm going to live off campus instead. It's not usually a like, I hated my room assignment, so I'm not going to live here anymore. More often than not, it's the like, this was my backup. I'm going to go. I found something else, or something finally
Backups.
came through. Or the more likely is that they're taking a leave of absence or withdrawing from the institution or transferring.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure, of course, of course. All right.
Hey,
Oh, hi,
really quick.
Josh. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh. I work in resident life as well. If you all could mute your phones, because we can hear like some of the background noise, and it may be affecting some of the people from hearing. So if you all can mute your computers or your Zoom. I see that Korean, I hope I'm saying that name right. Um, have yours unmuted. So just so you won't hear that background noise.
Thanks, Josh. All right. So we're going to move forward onto the other side of what the waitlist typically, or what we use the waitlist for. And that's for students who did get an on-campus room assignment, but are now seeking they're looking for a room change. And so we, just like we are for students who didn't get housing, we are accepting those room change requests for students who received housing but want a different room assignment. And that could be for a myriad of reasons. We'll talk a little bit about some of those here in just a moment. Requests are prioritized based on gender and financial concerns. So, as many of you know, housing past your freshman year is completely gender free, which means that anybody can select any bed in any room, regardless of roommates that are already assigned there. And because of that, sometimes we find that there are students who are not feeling super comfortable about about like the gender of their roommate. They're like, I love being friends with those people, but sharing a space with them is kind of uncomfortable for me. Or in another vein, students who maybe selected a private space, went home, talked to their families about affording that type of room and realizing like I actually can't really afford the single, or that's not the responsible thing for me to do financially right now. And I'd rather be looking for a less expensive space on campus. So that would be the other another piece. And so those pieces, or the gender and financial concerns, are prioritized. And then it's on a first come, first serve basis on whatever else is available. So if a single does become available, someone off the wait list might be offered that space to be able to move into it. And again, we'll talk about what those offers look like here in just a minute. And we anticipate beginning to offer room changes starting the week of May 12th. So that is a week prior to students who are looking for on-campus housing, and it's for some of the same reasons. We're waiting for some sophomores who are rising sophomores, for example, who are maybe taking a leave of absence, which might free up another space. We're looking, some students are kind of like looking for some roommate swap scenarios where, oh, we're in the same situation, let's just swap roommates and it'll kind of fix some of our problems or some of our concerns. And so just know that the week of May 12th is when we anticipate starting to make some of those offers to students who are looking for those room changes. Additionally, just because we're saying that it's May 12th and May 19th does not mean that there isn't a possibility that offers couldn't be made prior to those dates. These are just the dates that we really anticipate we're going to have some good spaces that we can start offering and doing some movement around. Questions about about how like this part of the room, the housing wait list? All right. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of like a mini live demo. I'm just going to show you where you can find the waitlist. I'm sure many of you have already been able to locate this, but I do want to do a little demo of this for just a moment, so that you can see, if you haven't seen it yet, you can see what it looks like. But additionally, it will give you the ability to see, just like some of the options that you can request. Okay. So I'm going to swap over to the housing portal. Now, for the record, because I'm an administrator for the housing portal, sometimes when I log into the portal and do a demo, you can see things on the portal. I can see things on the portal that you might not be able to see. So if you're looking at the housing portal pages and you're like, why is she doing that? Why is that there? The portal kind of makes me do other things, and there are some things that are hidden from students while I'm testing them. So for example, I need to sign in as a pre-college parent to be able to get into the portal while you all get to sign in with single sign-on. So just keep that in mind as well. So to find the housing waitlist, there are two ways that you can find it. You can either click on this forms and requests button right up here at the top, or you can click straight onto this housing forms button. Once you get to housing forms, you will find the 25-26 housing or academic year, and you will click continue. And then from here, you'll be given a drop-down option. There are explanations of all of the things that are inside of this drop-down menu. So if you had questions or you were interested in finding out more information about these things, you could pick these items from the drop-down drop-down menu. And from here, we're going to click housing waitlist. Once we save and continue, it is going to give us a lot of information about the waitlist. It shares that incoming first year grad students, for example, have to put themselves on the waitlist. But there is there's not always a possibility, just like with our juniors and seniors, there is no guarantee that a graduate student will be able to live on campus. But there's more information on here, like students who are offered their top choice of housing and choose to decline it will be removed from the waitlist. We'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. And so there's just a few different pieces for you to keep in mind. You are all welcome to read this and be able to review it on your own. And then once you've read through that, it will ask you to check this box, and it's not letting me check the box. So hopefully it lets me move forward because the portal is silly sometimes. Oh, it does let me move forward. Okay, excellent. And then from here, we're asking you to first give us your reason for your request. So from this drop-down menu, you can share what your reason is. If you did not get on-campus housing, the obvious choice is I did not get or I need a housing assignment. If you do live on campus, there are some other options for you to choose. I prefer a different room type or location. I'm not comfortable living with my current roommate's gender, or I cannot financially afford my current room type. As a note, just by selecting current roommate gender and the financial piece, those do get like I said, they're prioritized, but we do pay attention to what they actually say. So if we go in and we find that there's actually not a gender concern, that does not automatically prioritize someone just because they selected that when they were submitting their waitlist request. Same with the financial piece. If it's the least expensive space that you can get on campus, unfortunately, I can't prioritize that because I can't move you anywhere that is going to have a less expensive space. So just keep those things in mind on when you're completing your waitlist request. And then from here, we gave all of you the room rates just so that you can, as you're saying, I want this type of room, you can see what the price is for those. And then at the bottom, this is where it gives you the ability to fill in what type of room you are interested in. And I always recommend that students fill in all three. You do not have to fill in anything more than at least the first one. We need at least one room type preference for us to be able to offer anything. But I always recommend that if you have a concern about your room or you really just are not really vibing with the room that you got, that you definitely pick more than one option, because sometimes if your top option is just for a single in a hill house, it's more likely than not that I'm not going to be able to offer it. But if you say, oh, I'm interested in living in a shared alcove for a space as a rising sophomore, that's more of a possibility. Same for rising juniors and seniors. If you're looking for that private studio apartment, it's less likely I'm going to be able to support that. But if you're like, I want to move from 15 West to Colonial, more likely that I'm going to be able to support a request like that. So take some time to actually think about what spaces you're interested in living in, and select those options in all of these pieces. And then my favorite piece is when students give me a large explanation or a different explanation for why they're requesting this change or any additional information that might be helpful for me to know. Because when we're going through the wait list, it really is just me. I'm going through the whole list one by one, checking to see what I can support for students. And so the more information that I have from a student, the better it is. Because I can really be more supportive when I have more information to work with as well. And then once you've selected all of your items for all of your things, then you can click Save and Continue, and it will land you on this Request Received page. If you try to go back, and I'll talk about this in a second as well, if you try to go back to make edits, you can do the back button from here. But if you were to go like leave the portal and come back, you will always just land back on this page. And that's to make sure that your profile doesn't overwrite the date and time that you had originally requested. And so because we want to make sure that you maintain your place in the wait list line. And then of course you can always return to the housing portal homepage from here. Questions about the wait list itself, the form itself?
I have a
Hi.
question. Oh, sorry.
Uh,
We'll do Andrew and then Mona.
right. So I actually already filled out the wait list form.
Yep.
I was wondering because because you did say it would well you did say something about like the wait list form, but are we able to like are we allowed to like make extra edits to the waitlist form even after we submitted it?
Yeah, I will get to that in a second. You can literally just email housing@rizzi.edu and we will manually update your request for you.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. Mona?
That was also my question,
Oh,
and I
great.
did email earlier about it, but I emailed with my update, but they told me to come to here and listen again. So maybe I should
Okay.
email again.
I will follow up with our front desk team to make sure that they know that they can make those updates. I'm so sorry that you were directed to come here, but we can absolutely make those updates for you on the back end. So I'll send a note to say to let our team know. And I'll talk about making updates in a second on how we can best support in that as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So after finding the waitlist on the housing portal, the next step in this whole process is receiving an offer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what receiving an offer looks like for a student, what you can expect to receive via email when you get that offer. All right. What will the offer look like? It will be an email sent from housing@risd.edu. If you've lived on campus for the last few years and you've received a room change, or you've requested a room change and you were offered a room change, it's going to feel very similar to that, where it sends you an email and it will give you instructions on what you need to do next. This offer will include the building and the room assignment. So it'll tell you we've got 15 West 719C available. It will also include what the room type is. So it'll say this is a 4-bedroom apartment in 15 West. And then additionally, it will give you the names of any roommates. We understand that not everybody is best friends at RISD, or sometimes we have reasons for why we do or do not want to live with someone. So we try to provide you with the names of the other folks that live in that space, because that may influence your decision to accept or decline an offer, regardless of I have on campus or I don't have on campus housing yet. For some students, this is a really big important reason for why they would or would not accept a space. So we share that information with you in that offer. And then additionally, you will have 3 days to accept or decline that offer. And those instructions, it will be very clearly shared with you on what you need to do. And it will say you need to respond to this email within 3 days to accept or decline your offer. And here's what happens if you either do or do not accept that offer. So if you want to accept or decline, if you email back and say, I accept this, you'll be assigned to the room for the academic year and receive a confirmation email. Standard cancellation fees apply. So if you're a rising junior or senior and you get the room and you did not have a room and you accept a room and then you decide you want to cancel it for any reason, that would be like all of our cancellation fees would apply for that. The other way that you would automatically be assigned a room, and I'll transparently, I forgot to put it on here, is that if you don't respond within those 3 days, we will automatically assume, and especially if it's your top choice, we will assume that you want that room, that you want to accept that room. And the reason that we assume you are going to accept that room is because we're very cognizant of the fact that we have students who live all over the world, and have varying access to their emails over the summer, have varying access to all of their RISD materials, have varying access to internet. And so we do not want your location somewhere else in the world to be a reason for why you didn't get a room. It would be such a disservice to you, in my opinion, if we said you're just because you didn't respond in 3 days because you didn't have access to internet, that now you don't get a room. So please know that if you are offered a space and you don't respond, we will assume that you want that space. Obviously, the preference is that you do respond and you tell us, yes, I do want this room. But like I said, we understand that our students are all over the world during the summer, and so we want to support as best as we possibly can. So after those acceptance, like that's how getting a confirmed room. The other options are to decline and stay on the wait list. Let's say you're offered a space and maybe you already live on campus and you said, I really wanted a single or a Hill House double, or an alcove double, and we offer you a space in a building. Let's say you You were like, I'll live in any Hill House except Nightingale, but we offer you a space in Nightingale. And you can say, you know what? I don't want that. I'll just keep what I have right now. You can decline and stay on the wait list by literally responding and say, I'm going to decline and stay on the wait list. You'll keep your rank, like the number you are or the level you are on that wait list if you decline and stay on the wait list. But it will really just be for when the next thing becomes available, which is not always guaranteed that something will become available that meets what you're looking for. And then the last, excuse me. If you decide to decline your top housing choice, for example, let's say your top choice was for a Hill House double. If we offer you a space in a Hill House double, and it's different from what you have right now. Let's say you're living in a triple and we offer you a double, your request will be canceled. And that's just because we met what you were looking for. Your next, you ultimately decided that it was a building placement. But truthfully, we're pretty flexible. So if students kind of explain to us what's going on, and that's why that little box of additional information is helpful for us, because I would not offer you something in Nightingale if you said absolutely not Nightingale, but I love Barstow because I also love Barstow. I love Nightingale too. But if you were to say absolutely no Nightingale, then that would help me know don't offer something to Nightingale, because I don't want you to be in a position where your top housing type choice gets offered to you and then you want to decline it because it's in a building you weren't interested in. And then the last option is to decline and cancel the waitlist request. So you can decline and ask to be removed from the waitlist. That can be that could be that you currently have a room assignment on campus and you just decide, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna just stay where I am. You can just tell us, thanks for offering. I don't want this, and you can take me off the waitlist, and we will just cancel your waitlist request. If you are a student who is living off or who has not received on-campus housing yet, and you decide to decline and cancel. Oh my gosh. Okay. How did sorry, friends. You would think it's the first time that I've ever, you would think that's the first time that I've ever run a PowerPoint. Well, I don't know. Here we are. So decline and cancel the waitlist is is how you would cancel. And as a rising junior or senior, you could also say like, I'm full on canceling. Like I'm not going to live on campus or stay on the housing waitlist anymore. You could just cancel because you didn't get a room. There is no fee to cancel at that time. Okay. I don't know if huh. Oh, okay. Here's some additional notes on declining and canceling. Apologies. I don't know why that slide ended up in there twice. Again, you'd think this was my first time. All right, notes on declining and canceling. Whoops. If you already have housing on campus, you will remain in your current room assignment if you decide to decline or cancel your waitlist request. Cancellation of your application and booking after acceptance may result in fees, like I shared earlier. And additionally, as a reminder, students are required to live on campus for 2 years unless they're approved for that residency waiver. So as a rising sophomore, you can't say I'm canceling my waitlist request and I'm canceling my housing for next year because you're required to live on campus. But as a rising junior or senior, you could say I'd like to cancel and I'm definitely not going to live on campus anymore. So you can just take me off. And then we'll give you instructions on how to cancel that request via the housing portal. If you don't have housing and you have met that 2-year requirement, your housing license can be canceled without fee. Again, we'll just tell you that you need to go complete the housing cancellation license cancellation request via the housing portal, which can be found in the same place on the housing portal. Sorry for that flash onto this bright blue. But from here on that same page for 25-26, you can request that housing license cancellation request from the housing portal as well. So just keep that in mind. There's no fee for a rising junior or senior to cancel at any time, and you are always welcome to cancel, even if you haven't heard from us yet. And in fact, that's recommended. We would love to hear, not that we don't want you to live on campus, but if you know if your plans have changed and you ultimately know for sure you're going to live off campus because you found something, go ahead, submit that application cancel or that license cancellation request. And allow the next person in line to be moved up in the wait list. Um, and then my last point is on canceling and editing your requests. Okay. If you need to make edits or you just want to straight up cancel just your waitlist request, you can just email us housing@risd.edu. Let us know what it is that you want to change. We just ask that you be as detailed as possible. So when you send us an email to say, oh, I'd like to add this housing type to my list of room types, or I would like to, here's a note I'd like added so that Melinda can see it or so that your team can see it. Send us that email. Tell us what it is that you want to see added to your request, and we will take care of that for you. No questions. We might ask some clarifying questions just so that we make sure we capture what you're asking for. But you can put whatever it is in an email, say, can you please update my waitlist request? And we'll go ahead and take care of that. The caveat is that if you did not submit a waitlist request and then you email us asking to make changes to a waitlist request, we will just ask you to complete a waitlist request because we can't edit or make changes to things that don't exist on our end as well. And then the last, oh my gosh. Okay. And then if you want to cancel your application, again, if you are a rising junior, senior graduate student, you can cancel your entire housing application through that cancellation request on the housing portal, just as I showed a moment ago. And if your plans change, like I said, please let us know as soon as possible because this helps us place other students more efficiently and effectively. If we know that you're not waiting for a space, we can move on to the next student. So again, there is no cancellation fee for a rising junior or senior who does not get housing. So if you do get a room assignment and then you choose to cancel, there is a cancellation fee. But if you're on the wait list and you cancel, there's no cancellation fee for you because we just can't meet your request and we can't offer you housing at this time. So know that that option is still always available to you. So those are all of the points that I have for you regarding the wait list. I did forget to mention or add, I wanted to add a slide, but I forgot to add the slide in. If you are currently on the wait list because you don't have housing, if you're a rising junior or senior who doesn't have housing, and you are interested in learning more information about how to maybe look for something off campus, how can financial aid help you with your off campus housing, things like that. There is going to be another info session next Thursday, May 8th. At 7 p.m. It's going to be a virtual session. That one's also going to be recorded to make it to be made available. And you can stop by, ask your questions. That one's going to be hosted by the Assistant Director for Housing Operations, Brendan Cody. And he is going to be going over all of the things that might be helpful to you as you may be seeking for an off-campus housing assignment as we get closer to the fall semester. But what I can say about the wait list is that September 1st, while it feels like it's going to be tomorrow, is a few months away, which means that we have some time to work with you to try and find spaces for you on campus. We're going to see movement. We do still see some folks who are going to be, like I said, taking leaves of absence. They're going to transfer. They're going to withdraw from the institution. We have students who are going on study abroad that still we haven't gotten the list from Global. So there might still be some more students who are taking those, who are going to be having their housing canceled for various reasons. So just know that while we do strive to get everybody housed and get all of their changes made by July 1st, sometimes these changes and additions can go all the way up until August 2nd. And we will be reaching out and be communicative as much as we possibly can. And of course, our office is always available to you. And so if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're wondering where you are on the wait list, if you have really specific questions, email us. You can email me specifically as well. typically speaking, I do say like send to housing first because there are a multitude of people who can help answer questions. But I also totally understand the like, but I met Melinda. She did this presentation. I want to talk to Melinda. And so feel free. Like I said, you can email us at housing@risd.edu. That's in the chat. And then my email address as well is in the chat. That's mhang@risd.edu. And we're more than happy to help answer any of your questions. The goal is to get you what you're looking for to help make sure that you feel comfortable, secure for the fall semester. And so by no means are we ever frustrated or concerned or upset by any emails or questions that we get from students. We are here to support you. So please always feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you have. So, with all of that said, what kind of questions do you all still have? Is there anything? We had some really good questions earlier. Um, is there anything else that I can help answer for you?
Hi, I wanted to ask
Hi.
another question. So, like a specific scenario. So, let's
Mhm,
say that like an undergrad so let's say that like a freshman or sophomore
mhm,
decides like they're deciding like they're not going to come to RISD or they're going to like be taking a gap year from RISD
mhm,
and they booked like residency at a underclassmen dorm room.
mhm.
Would upperclassmen like rising juniors or rising seniors be able to like take those areas?
Sure. That is a really good question. Thanks so much, Andrew. So, sophomores get priority to the sophomore area. So spaces in the alcove suites, some of those shared double lofts, the mini lofts in 15 West. Additionally, all of the Hill houses, excluding Dwight House, whereas juniors and seniors get priority to Colonial, Dwight, and then the multi-bedroom apartments in 15 West and the studio loft. So that's typically floors 6 through 10, or excuse me, 6 through 11, with there's a few sophomores scattered throughout there in various housing types. Additionally, sophomores who were in roommate groups with rising juniors and seniors may be in some of those spaces as well. So because the priority is for the sophomores to have access to those spaces, we do prioritize doing room changes and all of those pieces, like room changes or sophomores who didn't select a room, students who are reinstated, for example. We need to prioritize students going into those spaces. The closer we get to the fall semester where we're in pretty good shape, where all of our sophomores have been moved around, or we've been able to get all of their housing needs met as well. If we have any availability in those sophomore spaces, that's when we would start considering making offers to those rising juniors and seniors of a space in specifically a sophomore area. Like I said, those alcove spaces, the hill houses, etc. Um, and just like we're not going to be taking junior senior spaces to offer to a sophomore who's looking for a room change, to like meet some sort of room change reason that they might have. So we try to make sure that we're keeping people in their areas, not because we want you to be separate, but because we value the fact that like what we're allowing juniors and seniors to have, we want to make sure that as many juniors and seniors have those spaces as possible. Um, the only thing about this is that at no point will a sophomore, junior, or senior receive housing in the first year area. And that those spaces specifically are North, Nickerson, Homer, and East Hall. South is a little bit of a hybrid building where the top two floors are first years and the bottom two floors are rising sophomores. And so that might be one of those buildings where there could potentially be a little bit of movement, but spaces that are specifically allocated to first year students will not ever be offered to sophomores, juniors, and seniors just because of the nature of the foundation year, which you all know very well.
Got it. Thanks.
And
Welcome.
I would also add one of the things about that as well, Andrew, is that I know I hear a lot of students basically saying, basically, we have empty sophomore spaces. Why don't we just use them now? But you also have to keep in consideration that we also have to house the transfers. They come in as sophomores as well. So we have to, and they are required to live on campus because the first 2 years. So those spaces as well will be occupied in the sophomore area as well.
Understood. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yes, I got a question for you, Melinda. Where can I find this PowerPoint? This Zoom recorded call.
So once we end this call, I am going to download it. It will get uploaded to our RISD Residence Life YouTube, which if you just go to YouTube and search for RISD Residence Life, you can find it. And then additionally, it is also going to be posted on Involved as a resource under Housing and Residence Life, so that we can get as many students as possible. So if you came, you got some questions answered. If you have more questions, or if you have friends that might benefit from the information that was shared in this info session, please direct them to find that. And then ultimately, we might be emailing it out to at least the link, and we might have the link on our Instagram as well. But it will definitely be on the YouTube, and it will, and then it'll likely be on Involved as well. All right, my friends. So if there are no other questions, I will stick around for a few more minutes as well to answer any of those other questions. I will stop recording. Feel free, like I said, send us those emails, and we are happy to help at any time along the way. We want you to feel secure, heard, understood. We know that this is a stressful time when it comes to room selection, especially for rising juniors and seniors when we cannot guarantee on-campus housing. So if you ever have questions, or you have, other concerns about it, please let us know. I did fail to mention that last year for the 24-25 academic year, we were able to house every student who put themselves on the wait list as a rising junior or senior by the time that we opened. So there were students that canceled along the way, but we were able to house everybody who wanted it. We were able to make tons of room changes for rising sophomores and juniors and seniors who did get housing on campus. So keep that in mind as well, that while it feels frustrating and challenging right now, we're very hopeful that we're going to see some movement and that we're going to be able to get as many people off the wait list as possible. So by all means, please let us know if you have other questions, but I hope that you have a wonderful evening. I hope that your finals all go well in the next few weeks. Please, please, please rest. Please take some time for yourself, and let us know how we can help, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.